recorded, so I'm ready. Very good. All right, I'm going to call this special meeting to order. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our statement of values? We have a flag in here. Oh, here? We know it's out there. And at the right angle, you can see it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We don't have our statement of values. All right.
We'll just remember it.
We'll live in. Roll call, Assistant City Clerk.
Okay. Councilmember Mahan.
Here.
Councilmember Hardy.
Here.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Here.
Councilmember Davis. Here. Councilmember Watanabe. Here. Councilmember Shahal.
Here.
Mayor Gilmore.
Here. Okay. Are you reading anything? All right, so first we have our public hearing and general business. Action on the resolution approving the revised salary schedule for as-needed temporary employees. Recommendation, adopt resolution approving the revised salary schedule for the as-needed temporary employees. City Manager.
Yes, we have our HR Director here in case there's any questions, but this is an item that has been requested by our double badgers. It dates back to earlier this year, and as part of just closing out this matter and encouraging our double badger program as well as working to make it more robust, we wanted to bring forward this request that allows for an increase for our double badgers, recognizing that an increase has not been provided for a couple of years.
It's been about 2 years, almost exactly, right?
Yes.
Exactly,
It's
yeah.
been 2 years? Okay.
I don't know, Teresa, if you had anything else to add?
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add? Any questions from council?
So this, just for the record, this would be effective January 1st, 2019.
And to increase it by
It would be increased from $65 to $70.
I think.
Yes.
$10.
so 2 years ago, yeah, because I made the motion for $10 2 years ago.
So is this will be part of, we have to figure into the public safety cap for the NFL events, and then that will, or how are we funding this?
We're taking the position that the cap is under discussion right now, and we don't believe that the double badgers really ever should have been included in the cap. That was never something that was calculated the first time the cap was calculated. So that's our position.
But it comes from the state of Illinois.
And nothing comes from the city. It's always going to be either reimbursed by the state authority or the 49ers for NFL games.
So the NFL costs are 49er costs, the non-NFL costs are split 50-50 with the stadium authority.
Right,
And,
those are for the non-NFL.
Right. Do we know that this is going to generate more public safety officers to work at the stadium?
It certainly responds to their concerns that they've expressed to me directly about in writing.
And then this will cover the events like the College National Football Championship and the other events that take place.
Our hope is that we can then begin to also look at strengthening that part of the program. So
Okay, so it makes sense.
there's part of that.
All right, Karen, any questions from the council? Any members of the public want to speak on this? No? Motion to approve? Second. Mahan, second O'Neill.
Okay, roll call vote. Councilmember Mahan.
Yeah.
Here he is.
Councilmember O'Neill. Yes. Councilmember Hardy.
Yes.
Councilmember Shahal.
Yes.
Councilmember Watanabe. Yes. And Councilmember Davis.
Yes.
And Mayor Gilmore.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Passes unanimously. All right, very good. Next item we have is to consider ordinances establishing a temporary moratorium on motorized scooter and bicycle share programs. City Manager.
Sure, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to hand it off to Manuel to provide a more detailed presentation. This is a little unusual in that we are introducing it at this special meeting. It's largely because of the rapid nature of communication through the mayor's office that came to me on Saturday. If you've read the report, I can just re-summarize that an inquiry or an advisement to the mayor was made last Wednesday in the morning, and noting that the interest of Bird to come to Santa Clara. By Friday, there was a final notice issued to the mayor about Bird coming to Santa Clara over the next couple of weeks and the interest of meeting. I saw the email because it had been transferred through one of the mayor council staff persons, and I reached out saying I would love the opportunity to meet before Bird is launched in Santa Clara. It is by no means an expression of our rejection of the program. We recognize the importance. We recognize that it's an industry that is quickly prevailing as, mobility. However, we also want to allow for our city staff to do the research and establish appropriate regulations in Santa Clara's interest. And so I'm going to hand that off so that I just don't want that to be confused as to why we're proposing this action.
Thank you, Deanna. Mayor, members of the council, I do have a short presentation for you. And we'll just start out by talking about shared bikes and scooters to make sure we all understand that we're talking about the same thing. And the way they operate is that the user, the person who wants to use the scooter or bike, enters into an agreement with an operator. And there are a number of operators in the city, all over the cities, Bird being one of them, Lime's probably the other one you see, the bright green bikes and the bright green scooters. They use an app to locate where the scooters are at, and with that app, you open up the scooter, and then you're right away. Scooters can be returned anywhere that you want, even in front of your house, you just leave it there, and the operators picks them up at night, and they are charged. If it's a scooter, you can see somebody there who's collecting scooters to charge them at later that night, and then that morning, they're placed in key areas where they're heavily used. As Deanna mentioned, I'm not going to go to this again, we did receive communication from Bird that was pretty quick. Within 2 days they went from we were interested to we were going to be here, so you didn't respond to us. We communicated back to them, and we do have a meeting set up with Bird for January 14th, so we are having that meeting. I did pull it up. They are a small number of Bird scooters already in the city. You can see the map from their app that shows where the locations are. And we although they're a small number, we're concerned of a major launch without having the appropriate regulations in place. Obviously, there are some good benefits. You can see how well they're used. They provide a new multimodal transportation opportunity. They are very flexible by the fact that you can pretty much pick them up anywhere they're available and drop them off anywhere you're going. And of course, they do help the famous last mile connection that's always very difficult to close. But just looking at other cities and what they've been experiences, there's also some concerns. The speed's an issue, especially because it's so much faster than the pedestrian. And although the vehicle code doesn't allow their use on sidewalks, you can observe that people tend to use them on sidewalks as well, so you have that issue with pedestrians. They can be disorganized on where they're left. And lastly, they are left along pedestrian paths, and depending how people do it, if they don't do it the right way, they can create ADA concerns with accessibility. They can block the right-of-way, and in some cases can create tripping hazards. So with all that in mind, we do feel like we need a little time, and with Bird wanting to be here that quickly, we need time to develop the appropriate regulations and the permitting process. We're going to need to make sure it's successful. There are a lot of model regulations out there now. I think the two latest ones that I've seen is Fremont went through a pilot process, and they just developed that program. And San Jose just approved their regulations, I think, this past Tuesday. So what we were going to do is, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We want to research, review, and really see what's best for Santa Clara. We do have two ordinances for you. One's an emergency ordinance that would be effective today. It would expire in 45 days, and we're planning to come back to you on January 29th to look for an extension if that's approved today. And then a regular ordinance that's introduced today, it would be proposed for adoption on January 15th. Becomes effective 30 days after that, and we're proposing that if that gets adopted, it would also expire on the same date, just to keep it all consistent. So, I went out there, did take a look, and you can see that we do have a few already. There's a Bird scooter on Memorex Drive that has some of those issues that we talked about, and then a Lime scooter on Lafayette Street that was actually parked to the side. So this temporary moratorium is for all shared mobility services. Any unpermitted scooters will be impounded, and administrative penalties and fees will be charged, and we are working now with finance and the police department to determine what the fees will be. Of course, we moved so quickly on this that we don't have those numbers quite yet. From a next steps perspective, I do want to emphasize what Diana already said, that really our goal here is not to stop the scooters. I mean, this is a good thing, people are using them. We just want to make sure we're protecting the public interest while still promoting innovation and mobility. And the way we do that is to have the right regulations in place and not go through the speed bumps that a lot of other cities have gone through, where they haven't been ready, and actually the scooters have to be removed along the way. We have a number of tasks in front of us to develop the right regulations. And generally, there's things like fees, safety, liability, kind of what the rules are going to be, how they're going to be parked, how we're going to monitor, how we're going to enforce it and permit it. But like I said, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We are going to look at what people have been doing in the last year to really get a handle on this. And a huge part of this for us is also going to be the community input and also working with the operators to come up with something that makes sense and works for everybody and makes the program successful, which is our goal, to have successful programs in the city. So with that, our recommendation, of course, I'm not going to read all of it, but is to adopt an emergency ordinance and introduce an ordinance as well. Available for any questions or comments.
What happens now for the ones that are in the city right now, like the line bikes or the scooters that are here right now?
If they are in public property, we do have the ability to impound them. We can't charge fees until those fees have been set. But we do have the ability, if there's an issue with them, we can impound those.
Do we have a list of who's putting these bikes and scooters in Santa Clara right now?
We can notice some of the action if the council approves this and work collaboratively with them. They're going to be a source of a lot of engagement so that we hit the right regulations. So we'll want to, if you see them, we'll want to hear that from members of the public and the council certainly, so we'll be able to get started.
Are they mainly in the north side? I'm not seeing too many. I've seen some by my office, but
so I did do it.
But where are they?
I did do a drive-by yesterday, and I do have the bird app and the line map in my phone,
right,
so I was able to pull them out.
Yeah.
And they're mostly on the north side, and there's also a few around Santa Clara University and some around Valley Fair. So that's pretty much where they're at. The ones you see on the north side, though, as I drove through many of the streets, they're mostly within buildings. There weren't that many that were in public right away. And then I did not go to the University of Valley Fair, but that's where they popped up.
Are we thinking about, we talked about not on the sidewalks, but what about the trail? The bike trail, pedestrian trail?
I mean, we're not excluding sidewalks as a possibility as part of, when we look at the right regulations and the parking and everything else, we'll look at what the options are and what makes sense. And different people have done it differently. Some cities have designated specific areas where they get parked at. So there's different ways to do it, and we're going to explore what the best options are.
Are we considering any of the city land to lease to if it's available or not?
We have not really started our process yet. We're kind of open to kind of what the best options might be, but we haven't really started determining what might be the best approach.
I just want to add that with respect to either issues on the trail or on the sidewalk, our concern is ADA compliance.
Yeah.
So,
because I tripped over one of these and
In the meantime, what do we do, like in areas since San Jose is permitting them, like Valley Fair, which has happened, Santa Clara happened. So if somebody picks it up in San Jose and rides it into Santa Clara, leaves it there,
Yeah,
we don't care. What do we do?
Our first step, of course, will be to communicate with the operator to give him the opportunity to kind of remove the scooter or the bike. And then if that's not successful, then we'll probably go to the next step. Communication's probably the key
Right,
step.
because especially like on corridors, Stevens Creek, one side of Stevens Creek, Santa Clara, one side San Jose. What are we doing to coordinate with all of our neighboring cities to make sure that we're all on the same page with these things and they get treated in the same way?
So we are going to coordinate. We haven't started that process yet. I will tell you that not everybody's treating them the same, especially just because of the way the systems were placed in different cities. San Jose just had a number of them, and kind of the process just started on its own. So that's being treated a little differently than Fremont, where they came in and they wanted to do a pilot, so they started with specific guidelines. So what we'll try to do is we'll coordinate with all the cities around us. There's been discussions about it, and we'll see how it's being treated, and we'll try to come up with the best pieces that fit our city, but we don't have that quite yet.
I just want to add that this is a really good opportunity to take up at the monthly city managers meeting, where we can look at our regulations and see how we can align, as well as cities association. These are common topics that tend to come up for the county.
I think something. Those were my questions. Because I live on the San Jose border, and Stevens Creek is like the backyard, and a couple of these have landed in my neighborhood, and like Karen said, they got dropped right on the sidewalk, and I have a lot of elderly people, and they were not happy. So they asked me, where did these things come from, and why are they dropping them off in our neighborhood? And I didn't have the answer, but you know, we're talking about it, so.
My concern would be the trail. I don't know, are they using them on the trail now? Do we
I don't know. Up there in that north part, that's entirely possible.
Raj?
I have a procedural question. Like, can they launch a service without even taking a use permit or something?
We currently have not regulated them, so there's nothing that they're violating.
With the moratorium, though.
But that's why we're taking the action today.
With the moratorium, they can.
But don't they need a use permit or something to launch a service in the city of Santa Clara?
Not if it's not associated with a piece of land. It's not.
They don't have a site.
Right. If they had a site that they were running on us, then they would need to make sure they're within the zoning.
Will we not do like an RFP to have people present, send in, options to operate in the city?
Well, I don't know if this would be an issue of a franchise or not. I mean, we'd have to look at that. We have to look at that issue. But in terms of, we're just looking at terms of regulation of a business as opposed to doing a contract or a franchise with somebody. We could look at whether there's any basis for us having, if they're going to ride in the streets, whether there's some kind of franchise that we would give them a ticket or something. We currently don't franchise, for example, Uber or Lyft. So
those are the discussions.
Those are the discussions we have to look at as this moratorium is in place.
And different cities have done it differently. For example, San Jose, of course, it's open. Fremont did an RFP to select depending who was interested, to do the pilot project for a year with the plan to open it up after that. So there's different ways to do it. We have to see what the options are.
Yeah, I was even reading about San Jose where they're looking at maybe defined boundaries where you can't ride your scooter out of those certain boundaries, like outside of downtown or something like that. So.
What about a business permit? I mean, do we have to have that?
That's a business tax,
Okay.
the license fee,
Right.
business license tax, and I don't know if we've set anything for that, for this type of business, so we have to look at that.
Because how does that generate, into us? I mean, how does that?
So that's a good question.
Those are all the things we have to look at.
I have a question. I think it goes best directed to our police department. Is here, if it was limited in any way, these shared bikes or shared scooters, how would they be enforced? I mean, if I have my own bike, I can ride it anywhere. If I have my own scooter, I can ride it anywhere.
I believe they may only do GPS that they will stop operating if they hit certain areas, because that's how they're tracked. Is through GPS. I believe these companies may have the capability to, if you ban the trail, that their system, it would hit the trail and it would stop working because it would hit the GPS.
But I guess a more fundamental question is, why would we want to, since it's a private scooter or my private bicycle, I could continue to ride? I mean, is that really due process?
I just think it may be a littering issue because they literally do get thrown on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
If you want them thrown on the sidewalks in front of people's homes, or if it's a privately owned, they'll take it in their house and keep it. So I guess that's.
You haven't seen my son.
Okay. We're not putting new regulations on the use of scooters in general. What we're doing is regulating the business of providing the scooters.
Right. Okay.
So that's really what we're doing here.
So it would be enforced against the business,
The
and
business,
not the person
right.
who had the scooter. Okay.
So that brings my question, like, can we, right now we are in this situation for bird only, right? Then that's why we took this proactive action. So would our ordinance cover any business in future? This situation can come down in the future too?
This is for mobility businesses.
Right. Oh, okay. So any business which operates in the city of Santa Clara can be covered under this ordinance? Under this ordinance.
Both scooters and bicycles, because there are also bike share programs as well now that are very similar, that you can pick up the bike anywhere and drop it off anywhere as well.
I have a quick thought. We don't have any Google situations here, but they do it within their own facilities, in between facilities. Would that apply to them also?
Well, it's not a rental.
I mean, if it's not
because that's their own private. but they're responsible if somebody drops it wherever.
Like a Google item out.
Right.
I mean, we'd have to look at it.
I mean, it's just a thought when we're kicking things around.
We have to look at it. I have worked with Google in the past and what they are doing now, because there's an issue with their bikes disappearing. They have installed GPS on them, and they are proactive in picking them up, and they can try to make sure they stay within the campus.
So I have a legalistic question. I'm a little confused about the emergency ordinance at the same time adopting the regular ordinance. I mean, they both go into effect at the same time. Could you explain a little bit about the need for the two ordinances? Because it's kind of alluding to
the need for the two ordinances is this. The emergency ordinance, normally an ordinance cannot go into effect unless you make a factual finding in the findings of the ordinance as to why you need to go into effect immediately. And you have to have, I think, at least 5 votes for the emergency ordinance to go into effect. And that allows it to go into effect today. The regular ordinance is designed to go into effect. It's very typical when you adopt a moratorium to have both an emergency ordinance and a regular ordinance. So the emergency ordinance can only stay in effect 45 days. So what we're trying to do is have a regular ordinance in the normal course of business go into effect basically about 45 days from now. We have a little bit of a gap because we don't have our next council meeting for the second reading until the 15th of January. So the second ordinance will not be able, the regular ordinance will not be able to go into effect until approximately February 14th.
Because the emergency expires in 45 days, and this one would go into effect.
Approximately the same time. We can extend the emergency ordinance a few days to make sure we don't have a gap. We'll see what's necessary for that. And then within that time, and then even the regular ordinance will probably be amended at some point to allow for the actual regulations to permit the business. But we just need some time to develop the regulations that, do the regular public outreach so we get the input from the public as to when we permit this, what do you want it to look like? What the exact issues that you all talked about. What if someone needs to maintain the sidewalk, whose responsibility is this, how does it get cleaned up? It's designed to give the public a process to come in and tell us, how do you want this business to work in Santa Clara?
So how long do we, because, I know that scooters are becoming increasingly popular. Actually, I was at a meeting earlier today on public transportation and ridership, and even organizations such as ARDA, we were talking about already that for short trips that they're starting to see that people are in, Oakland, San Francisco, those things, very different than here, but that people are adopting their use so much that they're seeing a drop in short trips, like people who are only traveling 2 or 3 stations or whatever in Berkeley or Oakland or some more urban areas. So obviously it's something that we want to be able to get on top of and most likely enable. How long do you think it would take to really, we've got this emergency ordinance and then the moratorium. What are you envisioning in terms of a time period to be able to come back with regulations?
Okay, so right now we're in the middle of the holidays, which is why we're bringing it forward at this point in time, given the rapid pace that this has moved. We will not be able to complete this work in the January timeframe. There's just too many other things that are happening, the CFP included, in our own priority setting session. What I'd like to do is have an internal meeting in January with staff and look at how we can have a community engagement process, including going through the BPAC, which is our normal process before we bring policy setting to the City Council, and put out a revised schedule as an informational memo as part of the council agenda. So I would like to respond in greater detail once we've had an internal meeting on January 29th with the proposed schedule. Recognizing that while we're putting it through the end of the year, the likelihood is not that that's the time frame that we'll need.
Anybody else? All right, any member of the public? Want to speak?
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Marty Fatul.
Good afternoon. My name is Marty Fatul. I'm with Bird Rights Incorporated. Thank you so much for for having this meeting this afternoon. We are respectfully in opposition to any moratorium when it comes to e-scooters or shared mobility. I want to address the city manager's office and the Department of Transportation. I know that one of my colleagues did reach out. In no way, shape, or form were we ever going to do a preemptive launch in the city of Santa Clara, nor will we ever do that without working with the city council and city administration. And I do apologize if there was any sort of miscommunication. All we were trying to do was reach out to the city of Santa Clara. We wanted to work with council. We wanted to work, we still want to work with council. We still want to work with city departments. But most importantly, we want to work with the community because we want to deliver to your constituents. We want to deliver both first and last mile transportation, as well as user, rider, and operator accountability. One of the major issues that I read in the department's recommendation to the moratorium, either a temporary or more of a full-time moratorium, was the sidewalk cleanliness, the sidewalk tidiness. Our GovTech innovations that we've made at Bird over the last 6 months, although not perfect, we are constantly working to make it more robust. Before you can park and pay for your scooter ride at the end of the ride, you actually have to take a picture now of your vehicle, which goes right to our operations team to show that you're parking your vehicle the right way, that you're not in the pedestrian right of way, that you're not blocking someone's like doorway, also in our merchant corridors. And we've taken people off the app. Right now, we're in 300 U.S. cities. We're also in Mexico, the European Union, all over the world. But we want our global service to be here in Santa Clara as well. Just on Tuesday, we were approved at San Jose City Council. We've been working with the City of San Jose and Oakland. Our permit process is coming out now. So, we put cities first. We want to work with the City of Santa Clara. I believe that we can do that without having to do any sort of moratorium. We are not going to launch. I cannot speak for any other scooter operator. There are many different ones, but Bird Rides Incorporated will not launch preemptively here in Santa Clara. You have my word. And one other thing, we really look at is smart growth. We are going to provide you with a data dashboard up to real-time data information on unique ridership, where folks are getting on and getting off scooters, high areas of interest. We're also excited to work with the city if we were to operate in Santa Clara on stenciling parking areas where the city and Bird can collaborate, work together on areas where you feel that we should...
Your time.
Sorry.
She just
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You have like 30 minutes to speak. Sorry
about that. But thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Yeah.
I'm really happy to see that we're moving forward with this because I think it would be great getting people out of cars and giving them another form of transportation. A lot of our businesses are reaching out to us. Hotels surrounding the convention center mostly have shown interest, and then the downtown area showing interest in the university. So we want to host and get these people that are reaching out to us into the community outreach meetings to start because there is a ton of interest in this. The other thing, and I'm sure this is a pipe dream, but it would be great to be able to allow these scooters during the college football playoffs to help with the traffic problem from the hotels to the stadium and back, and if they could geofence it to just out of the neighborhoods and just to the major roads from the hotels and the other public transit right to the stadium, I think that would really help with the traffic problem. And it could be a temporary permit until right after the game, and then we go through the public outreach meeting. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So we were talking about the GPS service where you can geographically control the location.
Yes. Yes, so that's the last thing I wanted to get into, but we do have geofencing. So we can implement up to the minute, no ride, no park zones. For example, in Lake Merritt in Oakland, we have a full geofence up there, different areas. So if that were to be public schools here in the city of Santa Clara, we can do geofences there. We are, and I did want to answer one more thing. The California Vehicle Code enforces our vehicles. So any sort of municipal code where folks cannot be riding on a trail, we will acquiesce to those requests of the city. We work very closely with the different police departments. I look forward to working with you, Deputy Chief or Chief. Assistant Chief. Okay, Assistant Chief. So yeah, we are fully under the realm of the vehicle code.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that, you know, I'm glad to hear that they're willing to work with us. I think that's great. I think what happened was we got an email on Wednesday saying final notice 2 days later on Friday, and so that was one of the reasons that, I mean, it kick-started us, no pun intended, to have this meeting because, you know, they are, I think the scooters are valuable. My kids ride them all the time, so they are a valuable transportation, but let's do it right. We need to do it right. And I think maybe we can refer to the city manager's office, you know, the possibility of during the football, something during the football playoff to see if that would work or not. I don't know. So we can,
we are potentially facing some real challenges in terms of transportation related to the college football playoff. So I mean that's something, you know, I think that maybe.
Well,
there's no time.
I mean, I'm going to say that the planning for the college football playoff has been in the works for a very long time, and this was never brought up at all. And we really, there's no real way for us to. I mean, right now the ordinance is a citywide ban.
When is the game? What day?
January 7th.
Oh, the 7th. Oh, I was thinking.
There's no council meeting. It's just not really practical to do it.
All right. All right.
I mean, it is a great idea.
Yeah.
I won't discount that. It's just, staff is just for a lot of staff today is their last day. They don't come back until January 7th.
Okay, so any other council questions, comments?
Me.
Debbie, you?
Okay, I wanted to make a recommendation because I think we need time to get through this right now. And the way I read it was they were just going to do it and not talk to us. So that's the way I kind of read it, and I thought, okay, that's not a cool thing to do. And the other thing was, if San Jose just adopted on Tuesday, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel, it might go a little quicker. So if we do the emergency ordinance and temporary moratorium for now, and then come back with something that maybe get them up and running in February or whatever. So I don't see this as being a long time period to me, to get this thing to help out with transportation, but I just don't like the fact that it hit us like that, and then all of a sudden there's these things moving. I don't like being a moving target. I need everybody on time.
I'll bring back a work plan on January 29th, but this is an unanticipated initiative, and we have a lot of big, high-profile competing projects, such as the CFP, the Priority Setting Session, the Convention Center RFP, our garbage and recycling contracts, that are all scheduled in the February-March timeframe as well, which staff has adjusted their time off and their schedules accordingly. I've already said this is an interest if we're not trying to create a long-term ban, but I do want to make sure that staff has the place and time for community engagement as well as to bring forward a good set of regulations, noting that there's a lot of templates out there for us to use.
Okay, so I would like to make the staff recommendation because they know what they have going on. So.
Yeah, knowing that we want to have reasons out there. I mean, I want to just make that clear, especially for the public, that we're also going to look for their input. Scooters on the trail, those kinds of things we're going to need to figure out.
Or liability for the city.
Right, but it's our intent to get this done. Yes, Karen? Wait, there was a motion, was there a second? Second. Okay.
When you talked about the school not wanting it, I can see where you would, but only at the front part because you're not supposed to be able to ride bikes on the back end of the school already. So, but scooters and all that, much better than
I know. Well, we have two high schools. We have Santa Cruz University and Mission College.
Is there an age? There's an age restriction for riding the scooters.
Yes. So I was
just going to ask because I think you said that. Is it 18?
Mayor Gilmore, so the age is it's 18 to ride. However, you know, because the California Vehicle Code says you have to have a driver's license. For our liability insurance, we go at 18 and up. Now, with universities, our university partnerships team have already been in communications with Santa Clara University. We will not launch on a college campus within a municipal jurisdiction that is not approved us. So until we get the ball rolling with the city of Santa Clara, you will not see a single scooter on the campus.
So I just wanted to say, just to answer that, those are the kinds of things we have to look at. If you need to be 18 with the driver's
License.
Correct.
then that sort of limits the school issue. So, okay, well, you got a lot to look at. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Oh, we have to call it out.
Yes. So, Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Mahan,
Aye.
Councilmember Shahal,
Yes.
Councilmember Hardy,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill,
Yes.
Councilmember Watanabe,
Yes.
and Mayor Gilmore.
Yes.
That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, passed unanimously. Thank you very much, and thank you for your
Thank you.
input. We
Happy
look forward to
holidays.
working with you. Thank you.
And if I could just leave my business cards with the
With
clerk.
the clerk, that would be great.
Any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Yes, no problem.
Public presentations, any public presentations? Seeing none. We are now going to convene to closed session, which I think is in this room.
Yeah. Here.
So we'll have to ask our party to start.
Yeah.